It seems like Chase and American Express are trying to do some things behind the scenes, trying to make some changes that they thought we wouldn't notice, but we notice everything. One of the changes has to do with approval odds, and one of the changes has to do with welcome offers. And if you're anybody who is looking to get any of these cards in my hand right now, either now or in the foreseeable future, you're going to want to listen up to this. So, first and foremost, I got a message this morning from my good friend Calvi NG with this Reddit thread right here relating to Doctor of Credit apparently reporting on Chase tightening up approvals on their Chase Inc. business cards. That article is actually right here. And in this article, they're reporting that since October, so just last month in 2024, it looks like Chase is becoming more and more stringent on actually approving these Inc. business cards as much as most people were doing prior to October 2024. And based on their compiled data, they mention here that the biggest factor seems to be that those who already have an open ink card are less likely to get approved for a new one. And here are some stats. They mention here that those with zero ink cards, so zero of these Chase Ink business cards, the ones we've been getting this year, have had an 87% chance of getting approved for their first ink card. And I guess that means there's 14 data points for that. Those with one ink card already had a 68% chance of getting approved. Those with two had a 57% chance. Those with three had an 18% chance. So a 40% drop if you had three ink cards. And then to get a fourth one, they had a basically 0% chance of getting approved for an ink card. And as somebody who actually does have four ink cards, I will say that I did end up getting them right before October. I think the last one I got was August or September, something like that. And then some other factors they say here have to do with having an open Chase Business Deposit account had a mildly positive effect on approval. So just having a, maybe like a business checking account, what have you, that seemed to have somewhat of a positive effect, which people have theorized for years. Never really saw the importance of it. In fact, reps in person have told me that it's had no effect over the years, but maybe it does now. Also, preemptively lowering credit limit had a negative effect on approvals. Interesting, because that is something that I have also done personally before applying for the next ink cards for my businesses. Is, if maybe I wasn't spending as much as I used to, I would lower that limit. Like specifically, I think I lowered my first ink unlimited from like 7K down to just like a 1K limit, which is the lowest you can get on the ink unlimited. And they said that this now has a negative effect on approvals, which is very, very interesting because, as they say, surprisingly, in the past, like how I've mentioned, have actually given you an increased chances of getting an instant automated approval. The supposed 50% income or credit line rule, meaning that whatever your gross income actually is, that Chase will typically start becoming harder and harder to get approved when that credit limit you have between all of your cards is increasing to 50% of your total gross income. But interesting to say that there may be a negative effect on that now. Also, floating large balances on your Chase cards have had negative effect on approvals. This 100%, 100%. Remember a couple of weeks ago when I went over this thread here talking about these ink train related shutdowns since August, and most of these data points, if not all of them, all had to do with people who were running up all their balances on all of their ink cards, trying to take the most amount of advantage of their 0% APR periods as possible, which, yeah, it's a good thing, but also look at it from Chase's perspective. If you're somebody who just opened four different business cards with 0% APR and all of them are maxed out and you're just paying the minimum payment, well, it looks to be a red flag. And so that is kind of being tested now. I would say that's one of the biggest contributors. And if you're somebody that has large balances, I probably would personally pay that off, honestly. And the last one is other factors like business revenue, years in business, spend volume on the cards did not necessarily have much effect on the odds of approval, which I thought was fairly interesting because over the years we found that if the revenue is over 5K, years in the business over 1 year old, and the spend volume, usually around over 500 to 1,000 per month, typically we saw more and more approval. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but that is fairly interesting nonetheless. And so some of the people mention here, oh, it's inevitable, rip my plans in May to get rich, all these different things. And like this guy who was rejected twice for ink cards, both inside of 524 and zero ink cards in his wallet. And of course, there's many, many, many different data points here. I know personally, as recent as October, my brother-in-law actually got approved for his ink card for his business, and he was able to overturn it, even though he was at 524. But the reason he was at 524 was because he had two authorized users that he ended up removing from the account that Chase didn't see. He told him that, and they turned it over, and they did actually approve him. And that was for an in cash, and they gave him the lowest limit possible of 1100. But that recon was a lot harder than I remember it being in the past. So I could definitely say that they are starting to tighten up that much more. And just like that other Reddit post we saw of these, shutdowns from people who are carrying large balances, people who are getting the same type of card for the same type of business over and over and over, like you're getting 4 Ink Unlimited, something like that, you're raising some red flags. And also on top of that, how often they are getting these cards. Now, you want to do things the right way. This is what I said in the last video. Keep the cards, use them how they're supposed to be used, make Chase Bank money. So this way you can make your own money on your 1.5% multiplier, what have you, get the cool welcome offer, and then use it for the foreseeable future. Anytime you're seeing behavior like getting a card, not using it anymore for a full year, and then they're shutting it down. I mean, these are all things that could possibly trigger in their system. And if this is true and they are becoming more stringent, then that behavior is going to become more and more of a red flag over time. So I would just say, we all know what the right thing to do is, right? I mean, I know people get greedy, you want to get a million different cards, but there comes a time where you need to, enjoy the points that you have, and use the card as they're intended to be used for your businesses down the line. And of course, I've never advocated for anybody to get this card without a business. I don't think it's really the best thing to do. And even more so now, as they're going to become more and more stringent. I will say personally, also, I've heard of some other reports of people who have been getting denied for the ink cards, having to call up recon, and the questions are even that much more stringent than even when I last reported it like a month ago, where they're asking, top line revenue. They're asking what's the operating margins of your business, and these are all questions that they're going to ask you. And if you don't have that answer, well, either get to the fraud department or nah, you're not getting anything, son. So really make sure that you're doing everything in the correct way. I will say that's the final on this whole thing. But this is just a precautionary tale for anybody who is looking to get into the game, or someone who's thinking about getting a little crazy. Take all these data points, at least now, even though they can't be totally confirmed and it's not a million data points. Use them for gospel now, and use that to kind of tighten up your whole strategy going into 2025. So behind the scenes, Chase is tightening things up, right? They're starting to make things a little bit harder. But what about more front-facing things? I'm talking cards related to like the Amex Platinum card or even the Amex Gold card. That's right. These cards right here specifically have had some changes that you may have not even noticed as a thing, and you may or may not have even realized that this happened. It's literally right under our noses, and it was something that was brought to my attention just last night by our good friend of the channel, Mr. AP in the Discord. And he showed me this, and I was like, oh, I see what they're doing now. I see what they're doing. So look, check this out with me. Check out this little sneakiness, right? Okay, so if we go on the Amex Platinum card page, right? Okay, Amex Platinum. We click on the Amex Platinum card, and we get to the normal page. Okay, cool. 150K welcome offer. People love that. Now, this is normal. This is what we normally see when we open up the page for the platinum card or even the gold card, right? Or and also, take notice of the green card as well. Look at the language on it, right? Now, remember this says special welcome offer, earn, 100,000 points after spending all this. So now take a look at this. So this that I'm opening this up on right now that I'm recording on is a MacBook Air. Okay, so it's a desktop computer. Now, this might get a little conspiratorial, but check this out. I'm now going to switch to my iPhone, which is here, and I'll try to throw it up on the screen. Okay, so now when you actually go on the iPhone version, like just on the iPhone, just normal Google or Google Chrome, and you go on the page, and see what we're looking at here? Take a look at that verbiage right there. In fact, I can even show it here too. As high as 175,000 membership reward points. But wait a second, what did we see just a second earlier? We saw this, which is, earn 150K special welcome offer. But now we have as high as 175,000 points. No longer are they telling you what the welcome offer actually is. They're not saying 80K, not saying 125, 150, 175. Now they're saying as high as 175,000. And what that means to me is that they have caught wind of all of the people on YouTube and Doctor of Credit, all these different blogs talking about if you want to get higher welcome offers, well, what do you got to do? You got to go on, check your phone, check your MacBook, your iPad, check your, your sister's phone, check your future ex-wife's phone, check every device that you can get to, and then check the incognito windows to try to get the highest welcome offer possible. And in one way, that is, great for the consumer, bad for the business because, well, they're shelling out more and more points. And I get there's a whole argument of points don't cost them anything. They printed it in thin air. It's just like Jerome Powell, these different things. But, I would say that over time, of course, the difference between 80,000 membership reward points and 175 has to be great given a large enough consumer base. Otherwise, they would just give everybody 175K. Why would they even have different offers based on using incognito window or referrals or people using VPNs, all these different crazy methods that people try? Why would they now all of a sudden change it to as high as 175K? Well, the answer to that is, well, now you cannot game the system. It is entirely based on you, the revenue that you're putting, your social security number. It's going to be essentially, I would imagine, random, or they're starting to cache data from everything that you do as a person. You're spending all these different things. If you're already a pre-existing Amex credit card holder or business account holder, something like that, who really knows? The only thing I know is they're trying to prevent gaming. So this way now, what you have to do is if you look a little bit below there, it says apply with confidence. Know if you're approved and find out your exact welcome offer amount, all with no credit score impact. So that means essentially you're going to have to apply before you can even find out what your welcome offer actually is. So kind of similar to pop-up jail where a window will pop up. They can now tell you like, oh, you're only approved for 80K or only 125K, 150K, 175K. And to further show my argument here, why I think this is a direct shot across the bow to everybody on YouTube and all these blogs, is take a look at this as well. Now, if you type in for the Amex Gold card, what do you get? Well, the same exact thing, as high as 100,000 membership reward points. Okay, so the same exact verbiage as we just saw with this new language. But check this out. Now, if this isn't what I'm saying, then I don't know what is. So check this out. Remember we showed earlier the Amex green card, right? It says welcome offer, earn 40,000 points, the normal thing. Now you might be asking, okay, Anthony, is it just following suit or all of these cards, platinum, gold, and green the same? Well, the answer to that is actually no. If you look at the green card, it is exactly the same. It's still the earn 40,000 membership reward points. It doesn't say as high as anything. And why is that though? Why would that be? Well, because I don't see anybody on YouTube worrying about the Amex green card and having higher and higher offers. I mean, I think 40,000 is fairly high. I think you can get to 60,000. I think is like the high. Why don't more people on YouTube or blogs talk about, the difference between the 40K and the 60K offer on the Amex green card? Well, I don't really know, but what I do know is everybody talks about either the gold or the platinum with getting these record high welcome offers. So the fact that that's what everyone talks about and those are the only two things that changed on the phone leads me to think that, well, not only is it going to stay on the phone, it's going to go on the MacBook, it's going on every device out there imaginable, but also just a little bit sneaky. Just a little bit sneaky that you can no longer just keep clicking around. You're going to have to do a million different applications. And who knows? Who knows? I don't know how the data works behind the scenes, but it's quite possible that maybe you go through with an application and once you do it, you put your application in, you're locked into whatever they gave you. Like it's 80K, maybe you can wait a month and then it'll reset or something like that. And we know just from talking to some reps over the years, I forget who actually brought it to light, but I think American Express even said that the data for your application is usually cached for 30 days before it's reset. So quite literally, you could be locking yourself in if you go to apply and you get a low offer, then you may never actually get a higher offer for that specific card, which I thought was fairly interesting as opposed to before. We're like, all right, just go on an incognito window. Let me know what you guys think about these two changes. Chase and Amex slowly changing things behind the scenes. I don't like this sneaky stuff, man. I don't like this. So, what do you guys think? Let me know. And of course, if you want to see all of the giant changes that happened with American Express over the last, year, honestly, all consolidated into one video, check out the video over here, and I'm sure you're going to get a ton of value from it. And as always, thank you guys for being here all the way to the end. I appreciate every single one of you.